Hello, everyone, and welcome to another riveting edition of Under the Floorboards. We laugh at the creatures like Bump of the Night. I am your host, John, joined as always by my beautiful co-host, Eric. How are you this week?
I'm fabulous. You know why?
Why?
Because it is 619, 619, Rey Mysterio, my favorite wrestler. Shut up, hombre.
Honestly, I felt that because, I felt like one of the best things that's ever happened in WWE history is when Rey Mysterio and Hurricane were a tag team.
Yep.
Holy shit.
I agree. I think the best thing that ever happened in WWE history was when he fought a ladder match for custody of his son. But the NFL scriptwriters can go fuck themselves. That was cinema.
Oh,
you know what
yeah,
I mean?
absolutely.
That was that
Sean
pay-per-view
McMahon
shit.
used to say the N-word.
He did.
They used to have quote unquote consensual sex with people in the back. It was a wild time to be alive.
And that's where Brazzers came from.
NWO Nitro Brazzers.
Tushy Raw.
And they're and you're probably wondering how I got here today.
I'll tell you how I got here. I'm 9 shots deep and I haven't slept. And we just watched the weirdest fucking movie we've seen this year.
And honestly, probably one of the worst too.
Yeah.
There was so much hype surrounding this movie, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, you gotta go see it! You gotta see it!" Yeah, we have Shudder, so we see shit.
Yeah.
And
as a horror podcast, we are purveyors of the finer arts.
The funniest part of this was originally we were going to do some Tubi trash today, and there was a movie called Goodnight Light. Sorry, Goodnight, Light. I don't know what they were trying to do.
Goodnight, Manuel.
Goodnight, Manuel. and we got into the first 2 scenes of the film, and the first one's this. Essentially, the girl kills the mom, but they don't show anything. It's all super fucking cut together and such. And we kept watching, and we get to the very first scene, and it's the psychologist that's talking to the girl who killed her mom. And it is one of the worst acting experiences I've seen in my entire life. I've never seen someone so deadpan to be like, "Tell me what it felt like when you stabbed your mom 37 times. I had to use my resting indigenous face just to fucking pull that shit off.
The great knife spirit came down upon the mother 13 times.
We Matan.
You know what it reminded me of was, gentlemen, this is capitalism. What's he say? Democracy manifest. Also, rest in peace to the succulent Chinese meal guy.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it was so flat that I looked at Eric and I was like, there's a movie that has been recommended to me a little bit.
Let's abort.
Yeah, it was like, we got to abort before we can't. And we have to make a shitty episode about a movie
Jump
that we
out
hate.
now. Jump out now.
There's people listening that are like, oh my God, they have standards.
I know. Which is why we're doing this episode instead of not doing this episode. Because y'all have lost your fucking minds.
Yeah, if you loved this movie, that is absolutely insane to me. Because
you took the vaccine. That's what it tells me. It's what
He said that as someone who took the vaccine.
I took it one time. It's like taking a halvesy before you go to the bar. That's not doing shit unless you add to it.
So the way that I saw it was a lot of people had been recommending this movie to me. It's on Shudder. I have a really good history with Shudder originals, and they turn out really well. And it's Nicolas Cage, and it's 92 minutes.
Sweet spot.
Yeah, it was a total fucking selling point for this movie. It was such a fucking selling point. And then we watched it. So in case you guys haven't figured it out yet, we are talking about Arcadian.
Yeah.
Which just makes me believe that you didn't read the title before you clicked on that. And if you blindly follow us, I respect that even fucking
That's
more.
Awesome. This is my thing. This movie had a shitload of potential. A shitload of potential.
And talent.
a shitload of
talent.
potential and talent. The premise is sound.
Yeah.
Because this is in that same vein of like, I would say,
Quiet Place.
It Follows, maybe, or something like that.
It's anything that is a creature feature. It falls between that creature feature and post-apocalyptic.
Right. However, the delivery of this shit is so fucking like, because this is the thing. I read this on the trivia. I don't know if you've gotten a trivia yet on IMDb. No. Okay, so the writer of this movie, Nick Cage's agent.
You're fucking with me. You're fucking with me.
That's Nick Cage's agent. So that's the only reason. So
that's what I said in this movie, too. Right. I was like, I can't imagine what Nick Cage's retainer was on this.
Mm-hmm. Pro bono, as it were.
Nick, I love you so much, and your agent can't write shit.
Because this was just fucking...
welcome to John's villain era. If you haven't been tuning in for that, because I'm about to dog this shit.
Like I said, if you enjoyed this movie, and if this is something that you're going to go and tell your friends, your cohorts, your co-workers, whoever the fuck...
Don't recommend this episode, because we're about to just shit on it.
To go watch this movie, to go spend time watching this movie, to invest the precious 90 minutes that you have this evening of your life to do literally whatever the fuck you want into this movie, you have lost your fucking mind.
I would rather go beat off into Wolverine's popcorn bucket
for 90 minutes.
And I could do it for 90 minutes.
I'm about to bust.
I'm 80% longevity, baby.
Right. The totem pole.
My type is girls that are on antidepressants, because we will get there after 2 hours.
We will. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's par for the course on a Tuesday.
I'll go ahead and give you my first impression. I can't believe, until you told me this trivia fact, that Nick Cage agreed to this movie.
Yeah.
Because everything that I've seen him in horror-wise in the last couple of years, between Shudder and when he did Pig, and Mandy, everything or Willy's Wonderland. Everything that this dude has done has been, next level shit. And this felt like such a fucking, I guess his agent's just a pick-me girl.
Yeah.
Because, I can't imagine, everything outside of the ethos that we mentioned. Like you said, you had Nick Cage. Mm-hmm. You had the kid from It, mm-hmm. Chapters 1 and 2 for the remake.
Yep.
And you know what? Actually, I need to take a second to make a special mention for my first impression of this
shout
film.
Out.
I cannot believe how shitty the cinematography was in this movie.
Okay. Everybody agrees with you.
Okay.
Reading the reviews quickly on IMDb, fire the cinematographer, fire the cameraman. This is a fucking nightmare for people who have epilepsy or vertigo. Any kind of motion sickness.
I was just gonna say eyes, but I really hate that this is actually hitting people with medical conditions.
This is a fucking, because I have started experiencing vertigo hardcore
totally.
and that kind of thing, as a daily just standing up and that kind of thing. And I was uncomfortable. So it's one of those things you, as a cinematographer, have to stop fucking doing this hand camera throughout the entire movie.
I don't think there was a tripod in the film.
Or put it in the corner of a ramshackle Jeep, and just let's that was the only still shot of the movie, weirdly, was motion. And it was a GoPro shot.
Yeah,
exactly. This movie was sponsored by Red Bull and fucking crack. Is what this was. So yeah, everybody agrees with you. I'm not gonna even pull my punches on this. That is a disastrous decision to put this into that complete constant moving camera. Disastrous.
And there's definitely a middle ground between where that cinematography and where the director comes in on some of that kind of shit. But there's a point in the movie that I looked at Eric and I was like, is this just found footage now?
Right. Right. Because who gives a shit?
Yeah, my other biggest issue is like the movie didn't fucking make sense because and I'm sure you've already thought about this. Tell me when they explained what these monsters are and where they came from.
Sure.
At any point in this film. Because all I learned is that there is pollution in the world. Yeah. So all I saw was Harambe with fucking Tourette syndrome coming after all of these
because
that's characters.
What it was. It was like a gorilla gator.
Yeah, yeah.
Like with,
the clacker that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Like that first, you never played Bloodborne. This is going to be a reference for the listeners. The first monster that you fight, like the first boss that you fight, that's what this shit looks like. Yeah. Straight up. That's what it is. And so, like, from an originality standpoint, I give it semi-kudos because nothing about that was frightening to me, but it was different. It wasn't just like, but it was different in the sense of, like, because I said so. And there's some value. I'm going to get into my first impressions. Are you?
Oh, yeah, no, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
There's a lot of value, I think, as a writer, as a director, as an actor, in, making decisions because I said so for the sake of, like, moving the plot forward and that kind of thing. But part of my problem with this is because I said so has to make sense plot-wise. Yeah. And it just never does. Nothing about this is like, there's even an exchange between two of the characters where they don't even know what's going on. They're just, we were born in this world and we have theories about what's happening and why we can't go out at night and things like that. Yeah. But that's cool because you think you're going to get the payoff of it, like breaking it down later of what actually went down in this version of reality, but you never do. And that sucks because I said so is a vehicle for making the impossible happen in movies. Yeah. And that's really cool. That's where creativity and groundbreaking and shit like that happens. But you've got to make it make sense. And we never got resolution in this movie. Yeah. We never do. We don't know if there isn't like 100,000 other tribes of these fuckers out here somewhere, or if these are the only two families on the planet. We're giving a very small, like, parameter within which we can operate as a viewer. And it's shaking the whole time. It's like, it's just nauseating. It's nauseating. Straight up, it's nauseating to watch. It's not an accessible movie for people that are like susceptible to shit like that. Yeah. And that is automatically cutting out probably 20% of your viewership because a lot of people experience shit like that.
Yeah. And like, I like to think that we're both pretty good at like telling plot and shit like that, but there wasn't even enough inference on the world. And that's the thing is I think that's my ultimate problem is there is literally no world building in this. And it's just like,
why are there missiles at the beginning? Why do people think the insects are doing this? The cockroaches are the ones doing this, but are they or are they not? It never gets explained.
Yeah, because why are there cockroaches everywhere? Right. Why are there fucking cockroaches everywhere?
I thought we were in Ukraine at the beginning of this movie, and I was like, this is a timepiece. That's really cool. That's a ballsy decision to, like,
ride through Ukraine,
with some alone. Some like neo-orc aliens going at it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, I didn't know where we were going. And that was what I meant when I said this at the very beginning, that I believe that the premise was sound. Right.
Yeah, totally.
I mean the concept of like they come out at night, you have to lock it down and you have to survive. Yeah. And that kind of shit is really cool. I mean, that's something that is trendier now than it was whenever.
Well, yeah, because like you said earlier, like that's your quiet place. That's your slither. That's your like here's your creature feature with your parameters, your bird box, your fucking whatever. Yeah. I just. You have to develop that story, though.
Like, make me care about the characters. I didn't give a shit about any of these people.
He loves Nicolas Cage.
And I love Nicolas Cage. It's one of those things that's like a testament to the writership, right?
Oh,
so
while we're shitting on Nicolas Cage's agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wholeheartally agree, man. It's one of those things for me where I'm
gonna pour another fucking shot. Here, let's go. Do you want a shot?
Hell yeah, brother.
You talk while I'm pouring the shot.
Hell yeah, patrons. This is what we do. This is what we fucking do. Because I'm about to cut out this whole section.
10 shots.
For all alone. Daryl.
Never made it as a wise man. Couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing. Tired of living like a blind man. I don't know the words to that song. I probably fucked that up, but it's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
Also, this is going here. This is how you remind me of what I really am.
So, this movie obviously had a lot.
Keep it in. That was actually not bad on my part.
Yeah, well, that's for patrons.
That's for I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it. Hey, patrons.
If you want to hear Eric sing "You Remind Me," stay a patron, please.
I'll do it every episode if you pay me $3 a month.
We need you, Daddy.
I am your new Nickelback cover band. Eric Williams in the Taka. Also,
and cheers to that.
Hell yeah, let's go. Shall I do this cast list voluntarily? The itinerary, as it were? So, this shit came out in 2024. I love staying relevant and also obscure. Benjamin Brewer directed the shit. Mike Nylon, if that is your real name.
If that is a real fabric.
Wrote it. So this is Nicolas Cage's agent. This is how I will continue to refer to him as, instead of writer, it's Nicolas Cage's agent. Because you haven't earned the right to call yourself a writer yet. Nothing personal. This is so mean. I feel like I'm such a piece of shit right now. I also have to find the cast list. Nicolas Cage is Paul. Jaden Martell is Joseph. Is that the guy that you were talking about from It? He was the younger brother. Or are you talking about Maxwell Jenkins as Thomas?
It was Jaden Martell.
Okay, cool.
Jaden Martell was in It.
Maxwell Jenkins is Thomas. Sadie Soverall is Charlotte. Samantha Coughlin is Mrs. Rose. Joe Dixon is Mr. Rose. Joel Gilman is Hobson. And Dare McMahon as the Militant Farmer, which is a great character name. I do love that. Because anybody that's lived south of the Mason-Dixon line long enough knows that they're real. They have Semper Fi on the back of their trucks.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. While you were doing the itinerary, I was just looking at some character.
Playing solitaire.
No, that's me playing Magic, baby.
It's my solitaire.
But I did see that Arcadian got a 5.5, and I've never agreed more in my
That's exactly
entire
what
life.
it is. And like the critic reviews were like 7 point something, right?
I didn't look at that. I just looked at looked at the overall meta.
Okay.
But
because that's what matters is the people. I thought the music mattered.
Until we do another Hating the Haters episode.
We'll be singing. We'll be waiting.
Knock this movie down!
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
It should probably be a 4.
Sorry, I can't do the clapper
Yeah.
noise. I want you to like superimpose the clapper noise there. But it'd be so fucking hot. Hell yeah, dude. This movie fucking sucks.
It was so bad. And it's like this, like I'm watching it, I'm like, you gave me Face Off.
Yeah.
You gave me Face Off, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But what I will say is the most that I've heard from literally any actor is when I ask them like what their favorite type of role is, and almost without skipping a beat on any person that we've ever interviewed or that I have talked to about it, is a working role. So I'm not
For
saying...
the listeners, let's break down what that term means.
Yeah, so it's like getting work, dog.
Exactly.
Which,
did this buy my Campbell's chunky soup today?
and I don't think that that's a hard thing for Nicolas Cage to do.
No.
But
he's a multimillionaire.
But he does it. You know? And this movie was clearly a favor.
Mm-hmm. He's still riding on Ghost Rider money. Like, there's no way he's not.
I would still be on Ghost Rider money.
He hasn't even touched the National Treasure money yet.
Could you imagine if that's how his bank account worked? And it's just
The
it's
account
labeled
names
out
are
for
like
like
that.
each movie he's made. He's like, fuck, I'm coming up on Con Air.
Consider reinvesting some National Treasure.
Into National Treasure 4
into some Wicker Man.
Wicker Man 2.
The interest rates are so low.
It always makes me think of one of my favorite things about Mel Brooks is when he was talking about doing the sequel to Spaceballs, he wanted to call it Spaceballs 2: A Quest for More Money.
I love that.
And I respect the
so much. So much.
And that's what that shit really is.
Because if anybody pretends that that's not really the reason why they're making multi-million-dollar productions, you know.
Give me the 2024 Blazing Saddles 2. A Quest for More Racism.
CGI Gene Wilder in there. Like...
Oh my god. I guess we should talk about this movie.
Do we have to? It's
yeah.
our podcast.
Well, for the people who watch this or listen to this or
staring
whatever,
slack-jawed in awe at their wall or the road in front of them while they're listening to this.
Well, I will say one thing that is cool about some of our listeners that I hope kind of spreads a little bit and that I've talked to some people about is some people listen to us that don't like horror movies. And they listen to us because, first of all, we're fucking hilarious. Have you met us?
Which I don't believe.
That's fine. I believe you believe that. But the other reason is, like, they would love to know what the stories are.
Ahead of schedule.
Not even ahead of schedule, but they don't like horror movies, so they don't want to watch somebody get mutilated, but they would rather have us talk about it.
Perchance somebody at work references this movie, they're caught up.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to, yeah, dude, okay.
And that's where we thrive.
Right, awesome.
That's where we thrive.
I love that. You motherfuckers are crazy. Whoever he's talking about, that is so fucking weird to me, but that's awesome.
They're a fan of yours. I can tell you one of them.
that's I guess that's why we do this shit. You're all so weird as fuck. I'm sorry. I don't even like the way my voice sounds.
I don't either. I have to listen to it way too much. Way too much.
We are in post-apocalyptic Ireland. This was filmed in Dublin, so I'm going to call this Ireland.
Sure.
We never establish a location, so that's what it is.
We don't establish a lot in this movie. This does one of those things that we talk about all the time, where like they don't say names for most of the
until
fucking
80
movie.
minutes into the movie.
And like as filmmakers, we have to be better about that. We have to be better about telling people who characters are. Because when I'm explaining something to somebody and I don't know who the fuck it is because you said their name in the last 5 minutes of the fucking movie.
I don't think they said Paul during the entire movie. That's Nicolas Cage's character's name. I never heard Paul. Never heard it.
Yeah, because his name was Dad. They literally could put Dad in the IMDb and it would have been the same fucking shit.
And a hell of a lot colder. The father. Right.
Daddy?
Nicolas Cage, a.k.a. Paul, a.k.a. Daddy, is looting a body in the middle of a missile strike on the city itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. This is wild, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's happening, right? So he has there's siren smoke missiles, like I said, and he like escapes the city with like the full Boy Scouts of America rucksack on his back and everything, which is sick. Anybody that can sprint wearing that is a god among men.
That was not a sprint.
Yeah, that was a sprint wearing a rucksack.
That dude was like horse trotting. He was just like.
I'm telling you, he would have won gold in Paris. That's all I'm saying. But he makes it outside of the city lines, and we get a really wide shot, which I know you love, of like just like the city on fire, like the smoke coming up and everything, and it's establishing the fact that the world as we knew it previously is behind us, and that's okay, right?
On to the next chapter.
Post-apocalyptic movie, we got it. Here we go.
And then he goes into a cave, and so this is actually kind of what fucked me up more than anything else in this movie. He goes into this cave. Yeah, because there's a lot of problems that this movie fucking had, but he runs into a cave that has two little boys in it that are both infants, and they're both his sons. And that's the other thing, is there's never like that duality of like, are they actually his kids? Are he kids? Or are he kids? Are they
are kids?
Yeah. Are they kids that he had like saved along the way and kind of stashed away? Like we don't know anything about this dynamic with any of the characters in this.
Quite literally compartmentalizing his responsibility.
Yeah. And he's like holding both of them in his arms, and like much like babies, they start crying, and then it just goes 15 years later. Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck was even the point?
Right.
To tell us that there's kids in this? Like, I feel like I would have had the exact, like, if they had taken that scene out and just like we come to Nicolas Cage with two kids, I would be the same amount of questions that I have right now.
Yeah.
We're still at one for just not understanding why the fuck they're here.
And I guess it was supposed to be that Simba moment. Like, I'm revealing this to the whole world and that kind of thing.
Autism.
Right. But who cares? Because, like, what it really is we're in this kind of like what's the word? A hovel, let's call it.
Yeah.
Like a hovel. And we've got...
It's the nicest hovel you've ever been in, right. But it is
still
a hovel.
Yeah. Anything after Donald Trump's second term is considered a hovel. Got it in there. But they're grown up. They're adults. One of them is clearly...
They're 15.
Well, yeah, you're right. So one of them is clearly more free-spirited than the other, and a little bit more, I deserve to get laid. Kind of the attitude, right?
The other one's like, I play chess by myself.
Right. So this is Harmon versus Borgoff from Queen's Gambit episode 6, and it's like... And you kind of have this like the it's not really even a power struggle. It's just the fact that we're supposed to establish like dissension between the brothers. They're kind of like butting heads. We even get that imagery out front with the sheep that are butting heads and everything. Art, quote unquote. But what the scene that I want to point to here, I don't even know if you care going linearly throughout this. But the scene that I want to point to is the dinner table scene, the first sit down and everything, where they are sort of like,
that is the power struggle.
I'm gonna throw food at you. You're gonna slap me in the face. Nicolas Cage is gonna break us up and slam a knife into the table. He says, "Are you animals? Are we not men?" And that was probably supposed to hit harder than it was. I thought that was like going to be a line that was going to be echoed.
I was going to say, you know why that line didn't hit? Because they never fucking said it again.
That felt like the family mantra, like winter is coming or some shit. You know what I mean? Like it was.
He's like kissing the girl later. Am I not men?
Are I not men? But that's effectively like all that's like. There's a lot of incidental shots, and it's world building in the sense that it isn't like. But what we have is like effectively what they're doing is like scavenging supplies.
Sure,
that's a dead body. Does he have bullets on him? Does he have food? But
also now compared to what we also learn at the end, because they don't. Again, tell things literally or like things that actually fucking matter to the premise. But there are farmers. And there is a farm that is very close to them.
Like the Rose family. I got you, bro.
Oh my God.
I got you.
Oh my God, they're so white. And one of them's fucking Iranian. And it's like one of the, like...
I'm going to say it. I don't care that you blew up your arm.
Just remind me, because I've been to this house before.
Okay.
I've been to this house.
Cool. We'll formally meet the Roses here in a second.
Yeah, totally. And you can kind of tell that, like, the older son is it the older son or is it the younger son?
So they're twins. So Thomas, as an actor, appears older because he is.
Right.
Or the actor portraying Thomas, I should say, appears older. Mm-hmm. But they're supposed to be twins. I did a little digging because, again, none of the story got explained to me. So,
help me, Daddy.
But Thomas is the one that is engaged in courtship with daughter Rose, whose name we find out at some point is Charlotte.
And I know I'm just biased, but she's like the dime store Olivia Cook.
Yeah, it's certainly post-apocalyptic, like this is your future wife because you have no other choice. It's kind of the idea.
It was literally the first time he realized pussy existed. Because like when he kept going to the farm, and the scene that we have in a minute, where younger brother who is autistic just builds a go-kart.
Right.
So that they can travel farther distances.
Nothing runs like a deer.
Yeah. And Joseph gets to the farm, and there is this there's this woman there who's clearly the mother, the matriarch of this farm,
Lady Rose.
Yeah. That sounds like a boss fight, if I've ever heard one.
Holy shit, that's Lady Capulet. Some rats are gonna die today.
And at first, Eric and I were like, "Oh, he's trying to fuck the mom."
Yeah. Good.
Which, quite frankly, I think would have been better storytelling more than anything else.
I agree. So, dude, I can't believe people like this movie. So, night falls on the Citadel, as Skyrim says. And while we're playing chess, we're having dinner, we're establishing the fact that we are in fact men, which is awesome which
still doesn't hit.
Yeah, at all. There is a jarring of the door, right? There's the big jostle, a ruckus. Is the word I'm gonna land on.
Yeah, bring in the motherfucking ruckus.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah. And it sounded to me like I get the fact that you're trying to establish that this is like a powerful entity outside the door or whatever. It sounded to me more like bombing because, again, this is where my head's at. These are like military insurgents that are like trying to break in and occupy your household and that kind of thing. Because, again, we don't know what's going on. That's the point.
Also, that's what we're actually afraid of.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. So that's the point, because I will give this movie credit when it comes to tension building and not revealing what we're facing until like the third act. I do think that that's important to establish, which is cool. But sorry, that last shot is having a really hard time going down.
That's fine. I'll pick it up from here because for me, that was my biggest issue with this fucking movie overall. Was I never felt the tension build. Like for me, everything felt very short-lived. Everything was very
perhaps arbitrary.
Yeah. It felt like we were going from one point to another. It never actually felt like we were building anything. Mm-hmm. Like whether it be the tension or the story or the cinematography, which was made by a fucking child. Like there was just so much that like didn't make sense to me because there were so many pieces that weren't sticking together for the puzzle pieces, you know?
Yeah. I agree. It doesn't really matter. I don't have anything to add to that. I was going to take that somewhere, but I don't care.
Literally, my notes go autism, chess, building tank.
Yeah, right. So what happens?
And it's not even a tank. It's a golf cart.
It's a golf cart, is what it is. It's quite literally a golf cart. I'm going to skip a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
So what happens in terms of storytelling and plot progression is that the dad sends the boys out to go salvage while he stays at home and does whatever he's doing at home or whatever.
I think they were even doing just a pickup. No, it wasn't a pickup at Rose Farm because that's why.
Because that was perpendicular to what the plan was, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the idea, I guess, is that during the day you go and find whatever supplies you can from wherever you can, and that's just how you get what you get for the night, food-wise or equipment-wise or whatever, which is, again, a cool concept. That feels video game to me, where you have, like, 30 minutes to go and, like, establish, like, your base or whatever the fuck, and then, like, you have 30 minutes of enduring fucking punishment and hoping that your shit survives. Like, I love that as a concept, as an idea and that kind of thing. The problem is that was a fucking mistake, because these brothers, despite being twins, have not bonded in a unity of, like, survival yet. You have Joseph, who is more responsible.
I think it's pronounced Yosef.
Yosef, great. Joseph is going out and trying to be the good son, I guess, if you want to talk about, like, duality or anything like deep within this movie. Like,
if this movie was deep, we'd talk about it.
So I would certainly talk. That's why I'm trying to talk about it, because I'm trying to pull something out of the fucking aether to, like, lace this together as anything that's remotely considered plausible and enjoyable. But the Thomas, the other brother, is very much infatuated with the girl Charlotte at the Rose Farm. So as they pull down the road, and this is where the Rose Farm is, he's like, "Hey, you go salvage, I'm gonna go get this nut," you know. It's like, and it's just that's exactly what it is. So Joseph goes out, finds a cockroach room, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah.
He doesn't really do anything in this series. It's mostly to introduce the Rose Farm, I think, more than anything else.
And Thomas is meeting the roses. You wanted me to remind you when it was time to bring up the roses about whatever you're going to say.
Okay, hold on.
Because you apparently have had this interaction with the Iranian dad before.
It's not just with the Iranian dad. My issue is the Rose Farm and the Rose family are the hardest thing to understand in this entire fucking film. Because
what are they?
I don't know what they are.
Who are they? Where did they come from? Why are they here?
And then we have fucking Charlotte, who is playing hard to get in the apocalypse with this dude. In the apocalypse with Joseph. And we have this really weird scene where she's like, "Oh, do you want this?" And we go out into the middle of this field, and Joseph's like, "I don't know that I really want to be out here." And she's just like, "Yeah, but this is the tree that my parents used to tie me to." It's got, bitch, this is a weeping willow with prayer flags. And a fucking, like, just lanyard going out from the side of the tree.
Nightmare. And what it reminded me of, I don't think you've seen Bluey, but, like, it just gave me Muffin vibes. For any of my listeners that listen to Bluey, Muffin, for your information, is the chaotic neutral entity within this world. And, like, just the concept of her, like, tethered to this tree and running a perimeter around it just for her exercise for the day to get some energy out, and that is hysterical to me. Because it doesn't make any sense. Why would they tie her to a tree that's fucking half a mile off of the house?
Why would you tie her to a tree when there are creatures that are killing people in the night? Like,
who gives it? This is the farthest my parents...
What if you get too drunk and fall asleep, man?
This is the farthest my parents will let me go. Why? You know they don't come out during the day. She can go wherever the fuck she wants during the day. Who gives a shit? You know, it doesn't... it's
like tied to her neck, so she runs too far and just...
And that's what I'm saying. When I, like, going back to what I was talking about earlier, about because I said so doesn't necessarily translate to, like, that made sense.
Oh, totally.
It's not the same thing. You could... Dude, fucking run a marathon and run one back, dude. Who gives a shit? You got the entire day in front of you. So it just, like, the idea is that this is the place where she holds a lot of memories of her childhood and or whatever. Exactly. It is.
Thanks for the memories,
it is
even
that,
though they weren't so sweet.
And it is that stupid. Because this is like a sacred place for her where she like holds a lot of like childhood and innocence and things like that. So naturally, this is the place that I want to like establish a romantic tie with this boy that I've been cucking for the entire, and awesome, right? It doesn't make any sense. The Rose family as a whole seems to be kind of a hub house for the remaining humans that exist in this like, whatever, like 20 square miles of this area, and there's food and medicine and that kind of thing, but like
there's not enough medicine.
But there's not enough food or medicine, and so it kind of raises the question as to why they're the hub. And I guess it's just because the teenage girl is there, I don't know.
And honestly,
I'm trying to make sense of it too, man.
To cut up the middle of this movie really quickly is essentially he's running back, or Joseph is running back because he told his brother.
Thomas is running back. Joseph is the go-kart brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
Thomas is the one that can process information correctly.
Well, Thomas has more autism than I can count. Right. So it's hard for me to remember.
Thomas is the one that knows when to jump the gap and when to like...
Real shit. Oh my God, it's not Thomas. What is the other?
No. Thomas is the one that falls down the hole.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh Joseph is the go-kart dude. Yeah.
So Thomas is like, this is a really funny scene too when like, he's about to leave hot girl to him. Yeah. and
the best I'll ever get.
And she goes, do you have 10 extra seconds before you go? And he like looks into the sunset, looks back at her and goes, I have 10 extra seconds. And she hugs him for 1, 10 seconds. 2, and she's fucking counting 4, it. And my favorite part of this is the sun like really starts to go down. He's like, fuck.
Right.
And you watch him like progressively sprint faster and faster.
Crocs in sport mode. Like eat this personal best, motherfucker. Watch this.
And he misses the gap that he knows that's there because they established that earlier in the movie, which is kind of stupid anyways to me. Like, I just don't care that he knows where the gap is.
Because it's just Bridge to Terabithia. It's just that she's...
No, because that movie hit.
She's always swung on that swing. There's no reason for it to break. She's always been there. He's always hopped that gap successfully, like a little fairy princess, Legolas-looking motherfucker going through Mirkwood. Like...
So he does not stick the landing.
No,
in
fact, go.
he plummets into this crevice, which for me, when I see a crevice in a movie... And if you fall into it, I assume that you fucking die.
As somebody who's recently fallen like 7 feet.
8 feet.
8 feet. 7.5. Calm down.
Every inch matters.
Chef.
I learned that during this last execution.
Nice. Is that what you call sex?
That's what we call her.
I'm so proud of that joke. I'm sorry.
So he like drops into the abyss, and
that shit was like 40 feet, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
That wasn't like 8 feet or something stupid like that. That was...
I wouldn't have just broken both of my legs. I would have either shattered both of them, or I would have shattered both of them before my ass went through my brain and died. But I guess he's fine. I guess everything's working out for this dude. And
because the plot must move forward somehow.
And Joseph is like, God damn it. I have to go home now because it's getting dark.
So, this is my favorite. So he does. He doesn't even spin. He spends like 4 seconds. Like, is he there? Is he there? I can't see him. All right, I'm going home. It peels out. Gets home. Dad's like, where's your brother? He's like, I looked for him. I don't know.
No, this is the ultimate brother response because he literally looks into Nicolas Cage's eyes and goes, He's not here.
He got called away on some business. And so what he says is, I was going to salvage like you told me to, Dad, because I'm the good son. And he went to the Rose Farm like you told him not to do, which is awesome brother dynamics. I will say that. That's hysterical, because that's exactly how that conversation would have gone down.
Did you not give up already?
Right. No, I totally gave up. I'm just saying I'm hungry and like I'm the one with the wheels, so is dinner ready?
And honestly, like, fucking Nicolas Cage has like the most level-headed response to this that I've ever seen.
This was, thank you for the one good line that you put in this.
Yeah, because he literally goes, it's not your fault, it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm. That's what you get for sending two brothers who actively dislike each other across a road perpendicular
by themselves,
right, to where this kid's trying to get laid. Yeah, of course that's what happened. That is your fault. Very self-aware Nicolas Cage / Nicolas Cage's agent.
So he decides that he's like, go ahead and lock up the house. I'm gonna go find Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And
which automatically feels like the worst decision you
it's
can
a
make.
death sentence.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's just like, are you sure, Dad? He's like, no, I'm fine. In the Nicolas Cage fashion, and just like shuts this shit down. So now we're like jumping between two stories right now, and the first one is about Nicolas Cage going to find his son, which the cinematography in this was such dog shit because I had no idea whether, like, where Nicolas Cage was, where Joseph was. There was nothing to really kind of tell us what was going on.
Why is there more square footage in this ravine than the apartment that I'm about to buy? Like,
also, why does your cinematographer have Parkinson's? I don't understand why I can't see what's fucking
Michael
going
J.
on.
Fox on the lens, motherfuckers. Let's go.
Oh, now I'm just sad.
It's all good. I love Michael J. Fox. He does have Parkinson's, though. That's
I know he has Parkinson's, dog.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that, like, I feel like if people can joke about 9/11, we can joke about Michael J. Fox. That's all I'm saying. That's been hotly established.
So what was wild to me, and there's like a shot earlier that doesn't really make sense, and it's like Nicolas Cage at the base of a waterfall, and there's like
hitting that cigar.
He's hitting a cigar, but
that shit was gay as hell.
You know what that looks like? A penis. Right. You know what you look like? A gay.
Anybody that travels to a waterfall to smoke is not straight. I'm just
I don't know, man. I don't think you've hung out with enough crunchy people.
I know crunchy people. I do know crunchy people. So here's the thing. Actually, I just want a shot. I don't care. Would you like half a shot?
Yes. But there's like this
episode's so sick, and this movie's so bad.
There's like this little like window pane that's like a 12-piece or whatever that's like in a bordello of rocks, and it's just like he's like, I wonder what that is, and I'm like, you probably already know, dog. Right. So like jump forward to where we're at right now, and it's just like, come on, man, like, you know where you're at. And somehow through all of this, Nicolas Cage finds this kid in the ravine or fault rupture. I don't know the actual like terminology that we should be calling this right now,
because there's no reason to like believe that like this movie would have given us clearance on that.
I also don't know why the earth split.
Yeah. It was during the bombing of the were alligators.
Oh, right.
Because you're supposed
global warming.
It is an environmentally conscious effort to establish the fact that like the earth is going to heal. if we get rid of the fucking mutant predators that are on this planet first.
Yeah, so he fights off one of these Harambe giraffes that are running through the forest.
I do want to like talk about this scene real quick because like he has like a flare, like a survivor flare.
You're talking about for the drop down, right?
Well, I'm talking about like the actual like first interaction that you have. No, not the first interaction. You're right. The first interaction, he bodies this motherfucker. Like just, you know, whatever that means. In the context of what we're looking at, apparently they're very easily killable. I think he like took a knife to it and that was it.
It's the speed and tenacity of them.
So he links with Thomas. Thomas is like, oh, I'm sorry, my pussy. And, right. And he's like, behind these constructed like rocks lives another one of these creatures. So when you pull this out, I'm gonna stick this flare in here. And he pulls it out, sticks the flare in here, and like the monster like swats it away. I don't like fire. It was just so fucking funny to me, dude. Because it's just like like it just got me when I was watching it because it's so fucking stupid. No.
Fire? I don't do fire.
It's like the writer's like, we're establishing their weakness. Hell yeah, it's fire.
You mean Nick Cage's agent?
Which it's not. As we find out later during the fucking like pinwheel fire tire scene that we have later. Brace yourselves for that shit. This is the dumbest fucking movie. I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard to make this entertaining. And like, so for whatever reason, they just get out, right? While this is happening, Joseph is at home by himself enjoying this.
They get up because the creature I don't know if it's like cumulative between the flare and him, but he has the ability to explode.
Yeah, right. What was it, dynamite? We don't know.
Also, actually, thinking about it now with like and I feel like this is unanswered question number 37 for this movie. Yeah. They don't actually talk about how they got Nicolas Cage out of that ravine or like that.
Exactly.
That
he's just out because that's my shit, right? Anything that is deep enough for a creature to exist in without being known to the world above it, per like their aversion to sunlight, that is a gap that you have to overcome. And I'm sorry, but this 15-year-old is not pulling a fucking prime physical shape Nicolas Cage out of himself. Like, we're talking Ghost Rider level physique.
Dog,
Nicolas
I couldn't
Cage.
Pull you out of a ravine.
No,
like I would let you die.
I would love to watch you try to fucking
dead.
pull me up that driveway without having an asthma attack. That's right. Let alone a fucking 8 to 40 foot vertical.
That's my thing. These are like 70-degree angles.
Right.
Like these are negative for people pulling these motherfuckers up.
So Dad's arm gets blown off during the self-destruction / Frieza to Krillin moment or whatever is going on. But this is such a... So the sequence that's happening elsewhere back at the farm or the home or the hearth, shall we say, is Joseph is...
Marvin Gaye and Gaye
is deliberately sitting 8 feet and 8 inches away from the door because that's the precise length that this membrane that comes out of this thing's hand can extend -2 inches. Brilliant. So...
I'm still not convinced that he knew that.
He had to know that. He had to know that because
I don't believe that.
He had to know that. It had to be bait because this is my evidence for that. As soon as it actually fucking opens the door, like anything with sentience would do if it's trying to like harm the person beyond this door.
Sure.
Like enters the room. Buckshot, right? He like drops and there's this like cage that comes out of the ceiling, no pun intended. But like
it's just Nicolas Cage dropping down.
It's Valley Forge. And it captures this creature in his living room, and he was awake the whole time. he didn't just
he
wake
wasn't.
up.
I don't doubt
Yeah.
that he was awake the whole time. I don't believe that he knew exactly
The geometry of the
the
capacity for this creature's
for
finger
the
penis.
for the lack of answers that we have gotten in this movie. There's no part of me that believes that this motherfucker just knew how long this creature could not only extend his own arm that happened in 3 fucking phases.
Yeah.
To then extend his own fingernail to this motherfucker. Like, no, I don't buy that at all. Yeah. I don't buy into that shit at all.
You know why? Because it doesn't fucking make sense. It doesn't fucking make sense. There's no reason for him to have known that. There's no reason for him to have known that.
It's been a long 15 years.
Exactly. With their little fucking drawings on the wall.
He's like in a crib and the fucking fingers like coming out to like reach him and shit.
And it like gets his lips like and so now he's like
got your nose.
So he's like, okay, it's 6 feet. 3 years later, turns out it's actually 6 feet long. All right, let's back it up.
6 feet 3 inches and 0.5 centimeters.
Right. I'd hit it.
The only thing I'd hit here is that mom. God damn.
What a fox.
Yeah.
It's fucking like, what's the comparison I want to make? Nope, don't want to make one. It's okay. I've given up.
It's not even you. I'm just thinking of like all of those memes that are coming out right now about YouTubers, and it's just like, what do you do when you get famous? I'm into kids. Right. And that shit is insane about how accurate that is.
Because it's remarkably consistent across all parties. And that's the thing that frightens me. There's somebody on YouTube that I care about that I'm about to learn a lot about. It's like, which fucking sucks. So we have a mutant gorilla alligator in the house. We have the morning
chomp chomp chomp
right.
chomp.
We have the dawn break.
You look like these creatures literally look like if you were playing Hungry Hungry Hippos, but you just learned how to masturbate.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about beating that shit like Kobayashi. You just see those motherfuckers like
salmon. I'm trying to get the sound guy. I can't do it. I can't do it without a pair of legs in front of me. I'm gonna need you to get up on this table and let me illustrate it. Jake Gyllenhaal taught me that one, boys. So, yeah, I mean, like, Thomas rolls up with Dad sans like left arm, right?
Yeah, totally.
And then Joseph is
because
like,
that blew off in the explosion that happened earlier,
right? And another failure of writing is like, because this is Joseph rolls up in the go-kart and sees him dragging sees Thomas dragging his father up the road and whatever. What happened? I was visiting the Rose Farm and like I hugged a girl and
I got a boner.
I got a boner and I didn't know what that meant. So I ran home because the sun was going down because the 10 seconds I spent hugging her deprived me of my,
because we're men.
And he's like, and Joseph's like, he doesn't say this, but it's like, no, I'm talking about what happened to my fucking dead ass dad on the road. Like, I don't give a shit about like what you've been through, bro. You're it's like, it doesn't make any sense. You're clearly fine. He's bleeding out.
I'm bleeding out.
And so Thomas is just like, hey, we should patch things up between us. No, we should go to the Rose Farm. Or sorry, Joseph is like, we should like help Dad. And Thomas is like, no, we should go to the Rose Farm because they have medicine, man.
And this is what I was talking about.
And my girl is also there.
And this is what I was talking about earlier, where like I just genuinely don't understand the Rose Farm. Was they roll up and they're just like, my dad's fucked up. And like there's this beautiful shot of what I can imagine is not Nicolas Cage's actual feet, like hanging off the back of the golf cart. And they're just like, we can't take people that are that fucked up. We don't have that much medicine. We don't have that much this, that, and the other. And they're just like, well, fuck this, except for Thomas. Or is it Joseph? Is it?
I don't care. You tell your own story at this point.
You built.
Cause I don't want the world to see me.
Find your own tree. So.
That was good. Nice.
Thank you.
Nice job, man. Nice, dude. I gotta like that. That was such a sick reference.
So fucking.
After you, Mondego. Sorry, I'm in fucking tears. That was so funny.
Try me on some V for Vendetta. Try me on that shit.
It's not even V for Vendetta. It's Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, that's fine.
V for Vendetta.
I know. What I'm quoting is V for Vendetta.
That's why I'm laughing, because I know you haven't seen Count of Monte Cristo, but you've seen V for Vendetta.
That's actually not true.
400 times.
I have actually watched Count of Monte Cristo.
Because of V for Vendetta.
Of course!
That's what I'm saying. It's this is the best episode we've ever done, dude. This episode's fucking goated, dude. Villainera!
You're welcome, patrons, because none of this is edited.
Holy shit, dude. That was such a slick reference.
So
you're not nearly sober enough to like mentally like work your way to that, and that's so impressive to me.
So Joseph does in fact find his own tree because the other autistic brother just decides
the other one.
Yeah, the other one. They get into a big fight. Joseph like chokes him down on the ground
for whatever reason.
Well, he was just like, because you don't care about our dad. He's like, don't tell me I don't care about our dad. I'm going to choke you.
Oh, see, it's Cain and Abel. See, they were like pulling references from the Bible.
Oh my God, it's the sheep again.
It's the sheep again. See, what you have to understand is this is a deep literary reference that transcends scripture.
It's like Rick and Morty. It's a little highbrow. Like, if you just like, you just might not get it because you're not smart enough.
Yeah. I'm going to go jerk off to my own reflection later because I watch Rick and Morty.
So, also problematic. So he's driving off with Nicolas Cage's fucking, like, body in the back. Right. And there's, like, this really weird, like, because we had the scene earlier, obviously, with what's her name? Charlotte. That like wants to fuck Joseph.
Thomas.
Yeah. I asked you earlier. You said build your own stories.
Oh well, you do whatever you want then. I'll stop correcting. Yeah. At this point, I stopped taking notes.
I'm glad to know that it's Thomas.
It is Thomas.
Guys, this is one of those films where they say the names of the characters like once.
Yeah. I didn't know that dude's name was Joseph until fucking like
until the end of the fucking movie.
Hour and 15 into this 90-minute movie.
And, like, we kind of picked up on Joseph. Like, it was...
Yeah.
They weren't like, this is Joseph. It was like, this might be Joseph.
I have in my notes younger brother because, again, I didn't know they were twins until I read that because they never established
that, absolutely. You know? I thought that they were
yeah.
relatively the same age. Mm-hmm. I think that, like, that was really lazy writing because they were like, Nicolas Cage is holding both of the babies at the same time, and I don't think that should be an inference.
No, it's weak writing because there's no reason for us to believe that these are twins, or to like...
There's no reason for me to believe that these two babies are in a fucking cave 30 miles outside of the fucking city that just got bombed.
Exactly. So, like what I'm alluding to is that there's no reason for me to, like, assume that they're twins because... it doesn't matter whether or not they are, right? Because, like, what you're trying to establish as a writer as I'm assuming, as a writer, I'm just assuming this, is that there's a duality between them, good and evil, light and dark, selfish, responsible, whatever the fuck.
Totally.
And like that's what you're trying to like drive
Totally.
from a plot standpoint. And it's because they're twins that they have like who gives a shit, dude?
Their dicks are.
It does not matter. That element doesn't add anything to the story for me. He could have been fucking Red Dawn remake, fucking Chris Hemsworth beating the shit out of Josh Peck because I'm the older brother and I've served in the military. You don't know what you're fucking talking about, and it would have hit the same way that this shit did. It doesn't matter that they're twins. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you had written it to matter, it would have mattered, but you didn't. Right. So here we are.
Like if they had changed like perspectives at the end of the film, like that.
Right.
No, really, that would have hit totally different. It's like I look into my brother's eyes, my brother's eyes.
It's Pokemon. Brother, my brother, tell me what we're fighting for.
Yeah, like that would have been fine, but like
that's a stupid theme to explore in a post-apocalyptic world where, as far as we know, there are 14 people.
And the writing doesn't support it. Right. Like, the writing doesn't support it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if you write a plot point, there just has to be something that matters about it.
And it can't again, I've said this like 7 times, it can't just be because you said so, It has to serve something. It's not a book. It has to serve something.
You can't just figure it out later.
Right. It has to serve something.
Yeah, so we have...
This is the greatest exchange in the entire movie, as far as I'm concerned. Right? Because this is where the Rose Farm, like you've already said, refuses Cage and Joseph, but accepts Thomas beyond that fence. Explain that to me. Why would you say no? He could come in here. Thank God
you're not missing an arm and need antibiotics.
I don't have arm regrowing medicine, so he can't come in here.
Arm regrowing medicine,
because that's the way it's cracked. Because that's the way it's pitched. It's like, I'm like limited on medicine, so he's gonna have to fucking go. Thomas, yeah, man, yeah. You come in.
Would you like to fuck my daughter?
Right. Yeah, come in. Let's repopulate the earth. And like. It
with my balls.
Right. So we have the division between the brothers, and we have our like third act looming on the horizon. There's no dad, it's just them. Just these two had to grow up too fast.
And we thought Nicolas Cage was dead for like 30 minutes of this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Because he should be. He got exploded.
Yep.
I looked at Eric the last part of this movie, and I was like,
"This is great."
They are not going to blow up. They're not going to blow up Nicolas Cage again.
And we established the parlay onto whether or not they would blow up Nicolas Cage again. I'm going to draw attention because we kind of glossed over this. I'm going to draw attention to the sequence just previously before this because, again, it's utterly ridiculous. Where the brothers are still at home with dying Nicolas Cage at home with the captured creature in their fucking bedroom living room, and they debate whether or not to kill it. And Thomas is like, yeah, let's fucking kill it. Joseph let it out. Joseph lets it out. It immediately tackles both of them and crawls under the bed. And then, like, they're like...
Oh, there's light outside.
Right, and they're like, oh, shit, that's kind of shitty. We gotta, like... We're probably gonna have to, like, fight now. And so the dog barks, and it sees the dog, and it kind of peeks over the bed. It's doing that shit. And then it charges, and they kill it. And Thomas uses his, like, log-splitting technique with the axe to decapitate it. And then Joseph starts dicing.
But it wasn't even him splitting logs earlier.
Was it Joseph?
It was Joseph that was doing it. That was the craziest shit of that scene.
So Joseph starts dissecting it for whatever reason and pulls...
Shoving his gloved fist in its ass.
And pulls like organs out of it with like the way that the sound design was set was such that we were supposed to be able to identify what this meant, and it's like, that looks like practical effects. I don't know what that is.
It literally felt like, yes, these are organs.
Yeah, right. And then that kind of just gets settled and thrown to the side as they make this journey to the Rose Farm and everything. So, like, again, this house just has alien gorilla alligator parts.
This is back to the Rose Farm. Because the only thing I do want to bring up is before this shit happens, it's Thomas that got to stay, right?
Yeah, he's the one that's in love with Charlotte.
Yeah, so he was like, I'm gonna fuck Charlotte. And then her Iranian dad comes in, which I'm not judging, I'm just saying, like, that...
She's super white to have a dad,
well,
occupying
I was gonna say that he's very much like, you want to touch my daughter kind of shit, like...
Yeah, for sure. I'm just acknowledging the casting failure. Like, that's all.
Well, her mom looked like the driven snow, so it's like... Maybe
she's 90%,
I don't know,
She
man.
got all of that, like, that...
For some reason, Charlotte has reddish hair. Yeah.
like, so feel to me.
Oh, wait. Well, yeah, because...
Yeah, no, you're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to leave.
Because he's going to steal some medicine and go back home after they have.
And it wasn't even stolen. First of all, this is guys like medicine. When we say that, he's taking Tylenol.
Like that's why I was joking about medicine. Like, what medicine do you have to offer this person? And it's like, it's just such a joke because in a post-apocalyptic world, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, he's taking fucking Tylenol.
Oh, you got the common cold. Sorry, there's like, xenomorphs outside. Like, I'm gonna save this.
Fuck, we're at a Tamiflu.
You should pour some emergency into some water and get that 1,000 milligrams of useless vitamin C into your system.
So Thomas is trying to leave the compound now because he's very clearly not wanted there, and I'm pretty sure that this reinforces the idea that the only war is a class war. Remember it!
Remember it.
Anyways, I think that when he's leaving, and I will say... I do think that this scene that I'm going to talk about is actually like the best acted in the entire...
I can't wait to hear this.
In the entire movie. Yeah. And it's as he's trying to escape, a guy comes out and pulls out a shotgun. He's like, you're not gonna leave.
I'm going to stop you for just a second
let me finish. Let me finish because there is a reason that I think this is the best performance in the entire scene.
I'm not interjecting for that reason.
Okay.
I'm establishing the fact that this is just a guy, who we've never met in the entire. Just to reinforce the fact,
who is also reinforced by 6 other people that we have not seen in this entire fucking.
So
movie.
Go right ahead.
So what I loved about this scene was. Obviously, Thomas is trying to go home to take care of his dad, come back to his brother, and he's trying to do all of this shit.
A moment of character growth, if you want to call it that.
I guess. There's not a lot of growth in any part of this movie.
Yeah. Certainly not in my pants.
No. I can't even remember the last movie that I was so soft during.
Right.
But he's got the fucking 12 gauge to his face. And Thomas is like, I didn't steal anything. You can ask Charlotte. I am just trying to get back to my dad. And I'm trying to have a character arc at this point. The shotgun dude is just kind of like, but you're not going fucking anywhere. And I just like, that exchange, if it wasn't for the cinematography throughout all of this scene, it would have been so solid because it gets to the other side of Thomas and like his facial reactions are so perfect.
Yeah.
And he's reacting to everything so well.
Like his dick's about to get executed right here. And
and like I really understood what was fucking happening. And then they just kind of like pull that out from under you with the acting because it just doesn't fucking matter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it's such a shame because that was such a great moment for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like not only like as your character, but like as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was genuinely impressed for a minute, but I couldn't see your face straight because of the cinematography.
Because of the motion involved. Yeah, and I
could they not afford the tripod? Like, because I own one.
It's just a lousy.
It's on our table right now.
Right. It's just a lousy decision. It's just like, and it's not even lazy. It's just that was a creative decision that they made in the process, and everybody agreed. And that's the problem that I have with it is nobody had the wherewithal to like. But wouldn't it be better if we had like just a stable camera,
so
through at any point during this movie?
What I will say, and I'm not trying to delve deep into this, but what I will say as someone who's made a short film and has learned a very small amount throughout all of this, there are definitely points where you just have to work with what you have to work with.
Sure.
Like, I've definitely gotten shit back from the cinematographers, and I'm just like, great.
Guess this is my movie.
Yeah. I guess this is what I have now.
Right. My argument is more to the fact that like there was at least $1 million in this movie because I know what Nicolas Cage costs, even if he's working for free. And
even if he just showed up that day,
right. And
he's like the little league coach of indie horror right now.
There's no version of this where they had to cope for an entire movie.
No, I want
you know what I'm saying. Like,
agree.
Yeah,
because they didn't even show the monsters for most of the movie. So most of the movie was cinematography, it was acting, it was setting, it was
tension building,
and they just completely failed to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's like dick in a blender kind of shit.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like, so do you want to move on with the plot or do you want to keep?
Oh yeah, no, we can totally move on with the plot.
So essentially what's happening is these creatures have burrowed underground of the Rose house.
Yeah.
Okay. And wherever this like basement manger setting we're in right now with these 7 dudes that we've never met who apparently represent the militant farmers that work on the Rose farm, or from what I'm inferring strictly from the cast list and not from what the movie is giving me. They get fucking iced by these creatures because we see them in full body, full light and everything, and there's this like kind of like clapping noise that they make. While this is going on where Thomas is situated, it's also going on at the house itself. And these creatures take out, Master and Lady Rose, whoever, whatever the fuck, because we don't know their names. They're not even listed in the cast list on IMDb. So it's like,
that's crazy.
It's like, or maybe they are. I don't give a shit. But it's like, it's just the idea that, okay, so all hell is breaking loose. Okay, cool. We're starting to we're hitting our climax and that kind of thing. So it still never establishes why, right?
Yeah.
It never establishes why. I drew attention to the fact that this farm has sheep, okay? And just sheep in a fence, just in a pen, right? They're not going after sheep. Why are they going after humans? Exclusively because why wouldn't they take the easy prey that's not going to fight back? And if the goal is to eat them, is the goal to convert them? We don't know because we don't see actual conversions happening. We don't see actual eating happening.
Yeah.
We assume for all intents and purposes that they're just here to kill humans, which is stupid. There's no reason for that to be the driving force behind the antagonists in this movie. We just kill people,
Well, yeah, because again, the most that we got out of this was because they talk about pollution a couple times, and we go woke mafia kind of shit,
right?
But there's never any real gravity to what's happening right now.
Yeah,
and you
exactly. What happens if they die? What happens if they don't die?
And I think you're completely welcome to make a film that has trying to think of the right words to say this.
Maybe like less context than is necessary, or
Yeah, totally. Like, you are totally welcome to make a film that doesn't necessarily explain everything. But if you want to put like political points and shit into it, I feel like you kind of have to explain why those things exist and why they don't exist. Because like you can't just be like, oh, the world's melting down. Because I'm like, okay, so this movie was directed by Al Gore. Like, that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Um.
In fact, it would have done more if they had just said that. That would have established more context than we got.
Yeah, because that's totally the problem. Is like I am fine, like I said, accepting how you want to make a story.
Mm-hmm.
And my problem is if you don't explain that, then I'm completely lost. The reason that I watch horror movies to begin with is literally for the stories.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be so obtuse and it's supposed to be so abstract from what the general vox populi is watching, because it's supposed to be a story that actually makes sense to a variety of people, because not everybody gets a happy ending.
Transcending the barriers of like the good guy wins, or they end up together, 100%. or whatever the case may be, of like traditional like fairy tale story endings and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and actually, can we jump to the ending of this a little bit?
Yeah, like do you want to go or?
Yeah, well, the only thing I want to say about the ending of this that really fucked me up. So for those of you,
was that you lost the bet on Nicolas Cage exploding twice?
No, I lost it on the Orioles every time.
Cool, I heard.
The issue that I run into more than anything else is when I am watching a horror movie. I want it to be one of two things. I want it to have so much crazy shit in the midst that, like, it doesn't matter what happens at the end. Because, like, how can you tell the ending to that kind of story? I enjoy that. I enjoy the idea of, like, dude, I don't know how to fucking end this. And then there's a level that, like, this movie kind of does where it's like... We all ride off into the sunset kind of shit.
You chose to end it this way.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing is like, well, all right. Here's the big thing in horror in horror movies is when you look at The Mist, that was drastically different than the movie was.
Yeah,
or sorry, than the book was.
Yeah.
And they literally did in this movie what The Mist did in the book. And,
right.
And that's so fucking frustrating. It's like, oh, maybe we make it, maybe we don't. I would so much rather have, like, when we watched Dawn of the Dead. And it's like, oh, we made it to the island. And the island's just full of fucking zombies. Yeah. Like, you just lose.
Concluded.
You know what I mean? And this movie didn't give any conclusion to any of the characters, any of the story, any of what matters to me.
Yeah.
Personally.
Right. No, I agree. I'll streamline the ending just for people that are paying attention to plot points. Basically, what happens is the Rose farm explodes. They escape. When I say they, I mean Thomas and Charlotte escape. They make it back with Joseph back to the house where they all live, where this alien creature is still dead on their floor or whatever.
Shit crawls from underneath.
Shit crawls from underneath. The aliens or creatures, the alien feels wrong. The creatures form a pinwheel, like a wagon wheel where they roll, and that's how they travel, like en masse at like speed at which is necessary for whatever reason. Again, it's just a weird creative decision that I don't that I really bought into. But they have a scuffle. Nick Cage's character decides to sacrifice himself for whatever reason. Like, you even, like, when we were watching this, you were like, oh, he's going to close the door so he can go die for no reason. And that's exactly what, and that's what it was he literally locks the door and they're like, oh, dad, don't go out there. And he's like, no, I've got like dynamite and the whole house is rigged to this explode. It didn't make any sense. The wheelbarrow full of gasoline that they were trying to make a bomb to like send them all to hell or whatever. They're also not impervious to fire because when they hide themselves in the freezer, like, you know, it explodes and they like drop a couple floors and everything. They're all fine. Somehow they get out and they get back in the go-kart, which is outside, and they form like the monsters form a flaming pinwheel. Charlotte starts shooting at it from the back because the dude that's driving is now Thomas, even though he never learned how to drive because we established that. And instead of like killing them, what she does is throw the gun into the flaming pinwheel of monsters and it explodes and they all like fall apart. And
I said fire to the wheel
because I said so. I'm a writer and that's what happened because I said so. We have the moment at the end where the sun rises and she's laying a memorial. Thank you for giving me life in a world filled with death. And thank you for giving me purpose in a world without any. And thank you for teaching me everything that I know.
Everyone in the golf cart's hard.
Right, yeah, exactly. And like she has an interaction with Joseph and like, yeah, anyone can blow up their own house. And Joseph like turns over to Thomas and he's like, she's cool. And Thomas is like, thanks for your validation, bro. I appreciate the like, you know, the affirmation that
I really thought we were going to have to spit roast her at some point. Actually.
Yeah, like the fact that we as 16-year-olds get to like go live a life together of perfect matrimony and, you know, and that's just what the movie is. Like even the credits, we were watching the credits roll. It's still got that shaky bullshit camera going on.
God, I know.
And this is the first time I've ever seen you do this. Is fast forward through the credits to make sure there's no post-credit scene. Because you refuse to watch that shit.
It was so painful. It was so fucking painful to watch this shit. Because I was like, there's absolutely no way that, like, the cinematographer is, like, He's not even in the crate.
He is.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
There's no way that, like, There's no way that you're forcing us to fucking have this.
Yeah. And yet, here we are.
Here we are. What are your final thoughts on this film?
I'm going to keep it really simple. This movie fucking sucked. It is a mess of storytelling. It is a mess of CGI versus practical effects. It is a waste of people that are in this movie from an from an actor standpoint, from like an artistic standpoint. I think the points that this movie was trying to make fell flat. I think whatever commentary it was trying to make on environmental consciousness or in humanity or the duality of brotherhood or humans interacting with each other in a world where there is no hope, it did not make any sense. It didn't matter because at the end we're left with absolutely nothing but with these three characters driving off in the sunset. Also, they forgot the fucking dog. Like they get in the go-kart and they drive down the mountain. The dog is trying to catch up to them. And it's like, you brought this up. It's like, I don't know where you're going, but I'm pretty sure that dog doesn't want to run that entire distance. And those are my final thoughts. Again, I will echo the fact that I think if you like this movie, good on you. I'm glad you liked it. You were outside of your fucking mind if you think this is a good movie. You have completely lost the plot.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about my final thoughts, but like I feel like I'd just rather watch anything else. Like I was so upset by this because it was like, and I'll be the first to say I don't like a lot of movies like Slither and fucking what's the A Quiet Place.
Quiet Place.
Right now, mm-hmm. Like that's just
It Follows. Those like let's build.
No, It Follows. I love.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying,
I was just saying for me.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think that I don't love It Follows, because I do love that.
Because God forbid they do, right? It's like I'm adding it to the pile of like, this is not an original idea in the context of like
not
the last like 10 years of horror filmmaking. This trend of like, we're going to tension build through silence and subversion
and the problem I think that this movie really had more than anything else was exposition.
Yeah.
Like there are so many things that I think this movie could have been fixed with like 6 lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
I think just explaining where we're at, explaining
or competency.
What we're doing. I'm not even bringing cinematography in this right now, dog. Like just storytelling.
Yeah.
I think would have been so much better if there was literally an exposition of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I ran into more than anything else that I wanted out of this. And I wanted this movie to be good. We literally watched this movie because another movie was so bad.
Right. and we saw Nicolas Cage, who we both love. And we saw 2024, and we saw 92 minutes, and that's kind of all it takes for us these days.
It was such a long 92 minutes.
It was. You know, I've said everything I need to say, but this movie is just one of those that, like, I feel like if I were the dude that made this, I would go back and redo it.
Yeah,
because it's a mess. It's just a disaster. I think 5 is generous. We're not giving ratings anymore, but I will say 5 out of 10 is generous.
It's definitely generous, because that was not my first number that came to mind.
5 out of 10 is a Big Mac.
Dog, I was talking about like a 3.
You know what I mean? Like I'll eat a Big Mac.
I was like, I can't believe you made a movie. Right.
So, again, if you enjoyed this, I'm sorry that we're dogging it, but I'm also not, because you need to, like, up your arsenal. Just get better at watching movies.
just fucking watch some of our, or listen to some of our earlier episodes. Mm-hmm. We put some bangers out there, dog. But with that, thank you guys once again for joining us, where it creaks, it cracks, and we laugh at the creatures that go bump in the night.